Hello and welcome. So as you've seen from the video title, I will be painting a massive mural on my bedroom wall. This mural was kind of an inspiration. I've been wanting to do this forever now, and I finally got the chance and asked my parents and went for it. I am in love with lakes and extravagant mountains, so this picture just struck me and I knew this was the photo after much debate and thinking. I planned out how I wanted the mural on my wall and decided to sketch it out with pencil, and then I started applying the tape. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I thought it would just be a fun quarantine project, but it ended up being a lot more than that. I first started to paint the mountains of the mural and the sky. I always had a little photo that I followed and drug around and just stuck to the wall, and my parents came in a lot to check on me to see how it was going. Also, I laid down some old towels on the ground so I wouldn't ruin my carpet. I had painted a lot of mini paintings before, but never something this big, so it really took a challenge. Just the mountains alone, painting the base coat took over 4 hours, so I kind of underestimated how long it would take to really complete this. I thought, hey, maybe like 4 days max, but it actually ended up taking over 2 weeks to finish, and I was definitely not expecting that, but I was ready to spend as much time as I needed to make it look the way I wanted it to. By this point, I had gotten a majority of the right side of the mural done, and I came over to the left side to start working on the details, and I just couldn't feel like I got it right, so I ended up doing this section again over 5 times to get a look I liked. My brother also comes in a lot and tells me in little critiques on what I needed to correct, because it is actually super helpful to have a second eye. Looking back, I probably should have had a plan, like do this section first, this section last, work in little bits, but I was really all over the place because I didn't really know what I was doing. But again, I eventually made it work in the end, even though I would definitely do some things differently if I painted a mural again. By far the most challenging part of this whole project was the trees. They took forever because I did them totally individually. I did a light green layer and then went over with a really dark green layer to make an effect that kind of looked like the trees were more far away in little layers, and this took hours upon hours. Definitely my least favorite part, but in the end it made it look a lot more realistic than I think it would if it was just plain trees the same color the whole way. I also added highlights, which took a long time, but the look reminded me of those ski resort maps you get, so I kind of liked it. I went on to the bigger trees, Bob Ross style, and kind of used a fan brush to create them. These were actually pretty fun to make. And I went again with the highlights on the left side of the painting. Then I finally finished the top half of the painting. So I laid down a strip of blue tape to create the reflection so it wouldn't mess up my painting. So then I began painting the reflection, and this part just took forever. I could not get it right. I kept looking at it. I was pretty much in a slump here because I could not get it to look right. I really wanted it to look blurry like the original photo I had, but it kept looking really sharp and I didn't know what to do. I ended up just kind of going my own way with the reflection actually, and it turned out pretty good. It's definitely one of my favorite parts in the end, and I'm glad I kind of took my own twist on it. I changed this part up right here so many times, and I was just really frustrated with myself for not being able to get it. I don't know why, because I felt like I didn't rush it, but I think I was just very inexperienced at painting good reflections. So eventually I changed it up a few more times and started adding little ripples in the water to make it look more realistic. So this is just kind of the base color of the reflection that I struggled with getting, but I ended up using a combination of watered down paint and a sponge brush to create a little bit more of a blurred look that I was pretty happy with. To finalize the painting, I went over the reflection with a white and dark paint to make a rippling effect in the water. I actually redid this a couple times because I felt like the lines were too thick. and they're supposed to, get thinner the farther you're away. So I did this over and over again to finally get it right. Although I didn't record most of this process, I finally finished it by just going over the same things over and over again to create a ripple. So finally, I took off the tape. This was a really big step, and I'm super happy how it actually lined up perfectly. Of course, I still had to add a shoreline and fix up some little details, and the white got a little messed up there, but I'm overall very happy with how it lined up. Guessing I just totally was able to measure it horizontally. So this is what it looked like before I took off the tape around the edges. I did add a tiny little shoreline, and it's finally ready to remove the tape. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. It's not like perfect, like clean, but it's pretty. Oh gosh. Oh no. Here we go. Okay, it's going smooth. We're going smooth. Oh gosh. Okay. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Gosh. That's why we have a white paper. Let's see how much white I have to retouch. So anyway, I ended up peeling off all the tape. The ceiling was kind of hard because I had to stand on a stool to get it off, and it would not come off. It was like stuck for some reason. So I'm definitely probably not going to use that brand of tape again, but it worked out pretty good. So I decided to clean up my floor and just organize everything, move my dresser back. You can see my dog Duke, and roll everything up and just clean up. This was very exciting for me because my room hadn't been the same in a few weeks, so I was just so ready to get everything moved back. Then my brother decided to help me move my dresser back into place because it's super heavy. But in the end, it finally stayed in place, even though it did cover up some of my mural. Then I added my signature at the very bottom of the right-hand corner, which actually ended up being covered up anyway, but still there. So this is how it finally looked. Here are some super fun detailed shots for you guys. I hope you enjoy.